So I just saw a movie today and it is called Together. Now, this is a movie that I did not see a trailer on, but I just took a chance, I took a gamble in checking out this movie and surprisingly, I really did enjoy it. And this movie is about a couple who has this kind of rocky love-hate relationship with one another and how they are forced to face their problems as they're stuck with one another inside the house during the pandemic, in which everything comes to a head as their views of each other as well as everything else is put on display for them to deal with, which may or may not affect their relationship as a whole. And this movie stars James McAvoy and Sharon Horgan. And this film kind of puts me in the mind frame of Malcolm and Marie because it's kind of shot similar to that, kind of mixed with Lockdown, a movie that you can find on HBO Max that has a similar thing with two people who are forced to stay together that don't have the best relationship with one another. And one thing that I can say about this film is that the acting is phenomenal without a question. And the way that they bounce off each other with the long takes shows the level of performance these actors are working with. And it is extraordinary as they are going back and forth with one another, finishing each other's statements, as well as going back and forth with the insults and compliments in a love-hate type of way. And as far as the humor goes, there was a pretty decent amount of it throughout the whole film, with the conversations from just the things that they say to even just their reaction. But the greatness about it is that there are several long takes throughout the whole film. And it constantly stays entertaining, whether they're on screen with each other or if they're just talking to the camera individually. And the film primarily focuses on the chemistry between the characters, because that's what drives the film forward, with both McAvoy and Horgan's performances carrying it like it's nothing. And I mean, they make it look so easy. It's just crazy astonishing. And I can see Oscar nominations coming from it. But one of the major things about this film that was very confusing to me was the fact that the main characters are talking to the camera in a fourth wall type of sense, like they're addressing somebody in a room, like kind of in the style of like a play, as well as switching back to the way a traditional film would be shot. It was almost like the filmmaker couldn't decide whether or not to go full-fledged with the whole fourth wall breaking or just having it being shot the traditional way, and just kind of cram both of them in there and just switched it back and forth. And honestly, it's not a bad thing, but it just made no sense because it seemed like it was just fourth wall breaking just for the sake of fourth wall breaking in the context of this film where there's no one with the camera around recording these conversations. And it did kind of throw me off with that decision to go with that and not really just stick to one idea. And the movie is carried heavy by that storytelling because that's really how we get to know the characters. So when certain things happen, us as audience members feels the emotion, whether it's dramatic or otherwise, and it is done extremely well. And I like how the characters find themselves having to deal with death during the pandemic and not being able to be with their loved ones during their dying days, and just how it affects them within that situation. And that's where the film really digs deep into the emotional aspect. And it is some really good emotion that's delivered from these characters. And this movie does have some nice visuals. The cinematography looks great. It has some surface level social commentary that doesn't really try to be subtle about it. It just really throws it at you. And they do have a son, and this kid is just mainly in the background during certain conversations, just doing whatever the hell he wants to do or whatever, but he doesn't have a real big presence in the movie. I just felt it was kind of weird to see him in the background just doing whatever while they're having their fights. But overall, this movie is great. It was a pleasant surprise, especially since I didn't see a trailer beforehand. I mean, this movie is entertaining, it is funny, it's heartfelt, and it has amazing acting, it's well directed, and I definitely recommend that you guys check this out. If you don't see it in theaters, check it out when it comes to digital. On whatever platform you can find it, whether it's at the Google Play Store or iTunes or Amazon or whatever, definitely check this movie out. It is really good. I really did enjoy myself in the theater. It made me smile. And so that has been my review of Together. And if you liked it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And I will catch you guys on the next one. So peace out. Stay safe.